takes, I'm absolutely cool
All
with
right,
what.
here we
Yeah.
are. Corey Michael Sanchez here. Excited to be live. Let me just make sure that everything's working. We are doing Google Hangouts, and you never know what happens here. I'm on two computers, and one of them is getting clear audio. So we're going to kick this off here. We're here today with Telman Knutson, and very excited to really be joined by him. We had a great webinar the other day. Everybody was super excited about the training, about building lists, about doing all that really super fast. So that's why we wanted to have Telman on to do an extra bonus content session on list building, because he knows enough to fill not just a book, but encyclopedias when it comes to list building. So very excited. Ira, I'm going to turn over to you for a bit.
Yeah, this is really, Telman, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, because we had such great feedback, and when we thought, okay, we know you're at an event right now, so we appreciate you taking the time from your event where you're a speaker, and so this just really reveals how much you really care about the entrepreneur. But it's all about the list, and it's probably one of the biggest Achilles that everybody has, because your list can't be too big, and it's not just the size of the list, but what kind of relationship that you have with your audience, and that's what Telman's going to talk about today.
That's right. Awesome. Well, I do have a question. I know we were talking about getting another email out to the list, getting some feedback and ideas. Did you guys get a chance to do that? And if so, are there any interesting responses that you have available that we should go over? Or how do you want the format of this Hangout to go?
Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. Let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about kind of how we started building our list, how Telman started coaching us on it. And we're going to dive into the questions that people had for sure. So I'm going to message out to Michelle. She's got a full list of them going for you guys. Have great questions. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask about list building, about generating leads for your own business, we would love to answer them. So go ahead and go to just send an email to Corey, C-O-R-Y, at mojoglobal.com, and we'll get some actual live questions in. We could do a lot of banter back and forth with those. So Michelle, if you could send me over the list of questions. Now I want to start with this, kind of how I just stumbled upon Telman Knutson and his training and list building, right? Because when I first met him and started learning from him, I didn't know anything about list building. In fact, I was actually in college. I was also working at the Center for Infectious Disease and Vaccinology. See, I was a scientist back in those days, and so I worked in a laboratory. And I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it, like, all of a sudden it sparked some amazing things in my brain. It was like, I'm destined to be an entrepreneur. And so it was pretty incredible, because at that very moment I went out there to start learning what it took to be an entrepreneur. And I don't know if you know this, I mean, scientists, they're not born entrepreneurs, I guess. Coming from the scientific community, I mean, a lot of recluses, right? I was working with plants 90% of my time. And so I had to learn really how to go out there and build a business from scratch, right? Knowing practically nothing at all. So I got on the internet, started searching around, doing some Google searching, how to build a business, blah, 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 blah. So I stumbled upon some people that were really training and educating on it, and one of them recommended Telman. And before I knew it, like, I was on Telman's list, I was learning from him about this thing called list building. I didn't have any concept of what it was. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I have to do this. I really have to know how to do this. And back in those days, I started in real estate. So I started building a list of people that wanted to invest in real estate. This was in the days of, what was it, 07, I believe, 07, 08 kind of thing, where I was just getting started. And so what I would do, right, after learning just a little bit from Telman, right, I bought one of his kind of entry-level list building courses. And so I started kind of like learning how to build my initial list. And so in that day, my niche was real estate investors. So I would go out to networking events, and I would kind of get on forums, and I would meet real estate investors, people interested in that. And so I started a newsletter, and this was back when Constant Contact was kind of like the biggest thing, right? Tell me, you remember those days where, like, that was like
the only option, right?
Yeah, so that was my only option back then. So I started building and putting all these emails into Constant Contact, and like consistently I would send out little newsletters with content on real estate investment and education. You got to keep in mind, like right now I look pretty young, right? And so I'm 30 years old. You can imagine what I looked like when I was like 21, trying to get all these people that are way older than I am, right? In their 40s, 50s, 60s that have retirement income and funds that to trust me to invest in real estate. So the only way that I could do this was to really reposition myself as an expert, and I got to say that's really what I did in that first, I would say, 6 months, is position myself by providing that amazing content. And from then I was hooked. I was like, list building is like super important to any business, because nowhere else can you basically put together an email, spend like a half hour, an hour, or maybe a little bit more on an email, press some buttons, and boom, now all of a sudden you're in front of, at that point, I was up to 500, and then I got up to 1,000, and then 2,000, right? Nowhere else did I know like you could do something like that. So that was pretty fabulous, and ever since then we've always focused on kind of like building a customer list, building relationships with them. Wouldn't you say, Ira?
Absolutely, and I don't think that you can overemphasize how important having a list is. And if you go to an event, a 1 or 2 day event like a traffic conversion, we were there, and they had some of the top speakers on the planet there. Everybody talked about list building. Everybody talked about building your community, building your tribe, and really creating these relationships. And I got to tell you, this is when I met Corey, I really didn't know a whole lot about list building, hardly at all. And then when Corey, this is actually very funny, because Corey starts telling me about, I got all this knowledge, I got coached by the best of the best, and then he threw out Tillman's name, and quite honestly, I really hadn't heard of him, because I really wasn't into it that much at that moment. And so that's actually was one of the key things that sold me on wanting to partner up with Corey. I figured, oh my God, he's hanging out with these gurus, and I didn't know how much money he was spending. I knew he was spending a lot, just proportionally. So I thought, here's a highly motivated person that really wants success no matter what. And I understood enough about building a community, how important that was. So it's it's the key, it's the missing piece to the puzzle for most businesses, and they know it's important, but for all kinds of reasons they just don't get it done. And that's why we're taking the extra time today with Tillman. So Tillman, tell us what are the
real quick, Ira. So here's going to be the format for today. Because honestly, we had a great training yesterday. We have Tillman came on. He talked about his program, which is all about list building. Now, a lot of you guys that are watching this that are fans of Mojo, or customers of our LinkedIn product or My Big Fat List Builder. And so one of the things is that a lot of you guys are customers of My Big Fat List Builder, but you don't know like the difference between our training and the training of Tillman. So that was Tillman, one of the things that we kind of discovered sending those emails, that it was really kind of noticing what's the difference, and where does one jump off and where does the other one begin, right? So we wanted to kind of take a moment, an opportunity to talk about list building, show you some real life case studies of how you can do it, right? Give you some examples that you can use in your business. Talk about the difference between My Big Fat List Builder, which is a product that Mojo Global produces, and Tillman's list building program, which I'm a super huge fan of, because I know back in those days, I paid tons of money, more money than actually you were paying for this kind of training now. I was paying back then, because every month I was paying the equivalent of like double my rent to be a coached by Tillman, right? Which totally would do it again, going back, and I would do it over and over again, because honestly I wouldn't be here where I'm at without that kind of training. So Tillman, is there anything else that you want to kind of broach as a topic for today's conversation?
No, I just to simplify this down, guys, the easiest way you can think about it is that the skill of list building is probably the most important skill in marketing and business that you'll ever learn in your life. It's the one that will make you all of the money that you're going to make for the rest of your career. Okay? There's no question about whether or not that's true. It's a question of whether or not you've realized it yet and whether or not you're going to do something about it. And My Big Fat List Builder is an exceptional program for generating a very specific type of lead for you, and a process and a software and all these great things to generate a very specific type of lead for you. And Corey is going to go into a lot more detail on it because he knows a lot more about it than I do. The Ultimate List Building System is a process by which any business owner can build a massive email list of raving fans and followers in your particular area of interest. So they're both going to get you leads. They're both going to build your list. They're both going to give you potential prospects, potential customers, potential clients. There's two different avenues, but they're really for two different types of people that are at different points in their entrepreneurial career, and some people will choose to use both and get the benefit from both simultaneously because they won't be in conflict at all. So just to kind of clear the air on that, so they have a similar name and they both generate leads and they both build your list, but they do it in totally different ways and are ultimately used to very different ends, right?
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So for those of you guys that know Mojo, I mean, we specialize in B2B lead generation. So we have a product in LinkedIn, and not too long ago, we were figuring out how do we get more contacts from LinkedIn, right, and into LinkedIn. Because as you know, LinkedIn is one of the most valuable social networks that I know of for getting really high-value leads, right? The average salary is way more. It's double that of Facebook, right? So we use LinkedIn almost exclusively for getting high-level B2B leads. So our thing is how do we get more leads into LinkedIn, and how do we enhance that, right? So, and how do we do that quickly, right? And also still be targeted, so we're not just reaching out to anybody. We don't just want anybody on LinkedIn. We want super targeted folks. And so we kind of put our heads together, and we decided, okay, so there's lots of great businesses that are out there on Google and all kinds of other things, but we're figuring out how do we, what's the magic source of leads that we could message out to them, get them on LinkedIn, and then start the relationship and start booking appointments. So we realized that one of the biggest things that one of the biggest sources of businesses just in general across the world and across the net is people that register new domains, right? So we realized that this is a huge source because basically anybody who's registering a domain, they are getting started and ready to blow up their business, right? They just made a purchase for a domain, and it's kind of like when you're at the checkout stand at a supermarket, right, and you're passing by the candy bars and the gum and all that stuff, and it's it's like the perfect time. You're like, yeah, I'll take a magazine and I'll take some gum, right? It's like perfect timing. That's why they have them there. It's because it's like impulse purchases, right? People are, people that buy domains, they are about to spend a whole bunch more money on their business. And so we realized that, these are people that need marketing help. They need websites. They need, all kinds of things that a business needs, merchant processing, all of that stuff. So we're like, all right, so this is a really great source of leads because you're getting in front of these people at the time where they are about to grow, they want to expand, marketing, they're going to need marketing, they're going to need all that help. What better chance to get in front of them while they're just getting started? Now, keep in mind, not everybody is a lead, right? I mean, you're just looking for a certain classification of people that are hungry to grow really, really fast. So, so we tapped into this. We realized that there's 40,000 new domains registered every single day. And we're like, how can we get this data? So we went out there, we applied to get the data, right? We have to pay to get these, this super high premium data. And the cool thing about this, guys, is that this is all business owner data, right? We're talking email addresses, we're talking cell phone numbers, or direct lines to the business. Because typically, like, if you register a domain, right? you're not going to likely have anybody else in your company register it for you, because that would really give up control of that domain, right? And you know, God forbid that ever happens. You want to be the one that's fully in control of that. So when you register, a lot of times it's you registering with your information, right? And so we tapped into that, and so my Big Fat List Builder allows people to basically get in the software, type in a keyword. So who are you looking for? Are you looking for a dentist or a consultant or a business coach or a pizza shop, right? Are you looking for somebody in you know, that has a restaurant, or somebody that's a marketing company in, say, New York? And so basically you can type in keywords, and all of a sudden you get a full list of leads, people that just registered domains, and that with the click of a button, now you've got this list, and you can also click another button and send out an email to them, right? Building the relationship. We always recommend people say, be super friendly with it. Go to, have them go to LinkedIn, connect with you on LinkedIn, and that's where you have the conversation about, you know, the next step as far as business, because when they go check you out on LinkedIn, you've got your profile there. It talks about what you do. They're in essence getting sold on what you do before you even, you know, before you start pitching yourself, right? It's like having a little bit of a sales letter. So when they do connect with you, they know what you do and how you do it. They know that you've got credibility, right? Using about 10 different points we make sure you have on your LinkedIn profile, and then you start booking the meeting, start going to the next step where you can monetize, right? So that's what my Big Fat List Builder does. Allows you to target who you're looking for as far as leads. We're talking brand new businesses. You click a button, you can email them. We recommend you get them on LinkedIn, right? You click another button, it can actually start inviting them to Google+, following them on Twitter, reaching out to them on Facebook. We teach you how to get them onto LinkedIn and all of that stuff. And so now you're expanding your social network. So this really is a way to get leads. It's like its own traffic source. You click a button, and boom, now you've got a list of people that you can start reaching out to. Now, this is kind of where Tellman comes into play, because the software that we have is amazing for getting in front of the right people. However, with that, it's super important that you know how to reach out to these people, right? That you know how to start the conversation, and that you know how to be different and unique, right? Because essentially, at the end of the day, when you're reaching out to folks, whether it's through email or anything else, people are more inundated now than they've ever been before, right? They get more emails. You remember back in the day, Tellman, when like in AOL days, where like you would get an email and you'd be so excited, that was the time you read every single email. You remember that?
You got 2 a day or something. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. And even if it were like something from, you know, it was like I don't know, it was from like a store that you went to all the time, like, you know, Macy's or something like that, right? You would still read it, and
it's exciting. Yeah.
These days you wouldn't do that anymore, because you just
just like when you were a kid and you got something in the mailbox for the first time. You had the same feeling, right?
Yep, exactly, absolutely. So basically, we're always in competition for eyeballs. That's what marketing is, right? How can you get in front of somebody and really get them to first take a look, and then second, get to know you better, build a relationship, and that's where the sales come into play, right? So we help provide the list to you. Now Tellman, what he does is help you build the relationship with them, bridge the gap, and stand out. Super important to be incredibly unique. Wouldn't you say, Ira, in this regard?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. I always say that you know, building a list and business is no different than dating. You know, you go on a date and you have an amazing date, and you tell the gal, yeah, I'll call you real soon, and then you lose her number. Then 6 months later, you pick up the phone and ask her out, and she goes, "Who is this?" And you tell her, and she says, "You know what? I got married last week, so you know what? Lose my number and goodbye." She's insulted. Versus you sent her candy, flowers, you know, telegrams. You know, you're building and nurturing that relationship. It's no different than when you met your girlfriend or your wife. Business is the same way. You want to get inside their head, join the conversation that's in their head, and really build trust and really give them massive value. And what Telman has done, his 12-step program, is absolutely incredible because it drills it down. It goes so deep. It goes so deep you think you're in China. That's how deep it goes. And I've seen all kinds of different blueprints and bubble formats, but I've never seen anything that's this powerful. Now, if you went to Harvard and you spent $100,000 a year for the next 4 years, do you think you would learn one little thing about list building? You think you'd learn one little thing about building a community? Hell no. And so these are things that are practical, real-world things that you need to know if you're gonna. And if you're a brick and mortar, you are forced to become an internet marketer, like it or not. You're forced to go onto the internet and start marketing. The challenge is most people are clueless. I mean, years ago, I had a bunch of new car franchise dealerships. All we did was print TV, radio. Why? That's all there was. And of course, things evolved, and nowadays car dealerships, a lot of them are really having a hard time because they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they're forced to spend this money on TV ads, and people are on the internet, not on the TV. So there's a lot of things going on right now. You've got to change. You've got to get in front of it. Somebody once said, figure out where the world is going and get there first, because Telman he's created millions and millions of dollars in revenue, not only for himself, but what's really impressive, for other companies. So Telman, congratulations on what you're doing, because what you've really done is identify the pain, and you've come up with big solutions that really truly work. So back to you, Telman, for a moment.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is what separates a wildly successful business from one that continues to struggle and really have a hard time, right? And I think it's the same thing that separates the person that seems to have lots of important, deep, meaningful relationships. They're very well connected. They're very well respected. They seem to have a lot of influence in the community that they spend time in, and the person that seems to never be able to get ahead, the person that always seems like the underdog, the person that always seems left out. And that difference is your ability to have deep, meaningful relationships with more people and successfully pull it off. And when you do that, it changes from a lead to a list. Okay, you stop thinking about lead generation and you start thinking about list building. You stop thinking about lead generation and you start thinking about long-term, because you're going to be doing business with these people for the next decade or more. Okay, you go from short-term thinking to long-term thinking, and that's where but you can build your list fast, though. That's the beautiful part, and you can build it in an automated fashion so that all of these things are happening in the background for you. So your list is building every day, so that you have automated communications that are going out to people, so that people are buying your products and services, be they your own, be they MLM that you represent, be they your dog food that you make, or your legal services that you sell. It could be whatever it happens. It could all be exclusively affiliate products if that's the route you've chosen to go down. And when you master the skill, the game changes. When you don't have this skill, you continue to struggle, and you won't find a single guru in the marketing world that will argue that for a moment, because it's one of these inherent truths of marketing that we all learn at some point. I'm giving you the opportunity, the chance to learn it yourself if you so desire, and if you'd like. And so yeah, if there are any questions at all, I would love to hear about them.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we're, and by the way, everybody, this is really about you. So if you have any questions as you're watching this, we're in the Google Live event right now. And, feel free to post your own questions in there. If you have any burning questions about your own business and how to build a list and how to build fans and followers and all that stuff, then we are absolutely fully on board for answering those and going through those. So, let me...
I may be wrong on this, but I believe that chat in Q&A is currently disabled. You might be doing it with a different app or something, but I'm not able to see it myself.
Yeah. Okay. we're on the Google events. I'll just send this to you, Telman. So there is in the Google Plus event for the Hangout. There you can just go there. So and you can just everybody can just type in and ask any questions that they want. We got some people on there. So so yeah, rock and roll here. Yeah, here's one of the questions that people were really having. Is kind of how do you, so how do we take my Big Fat List Builder, right, which is basically about getting data from folks, right, email addresses, about being able to connect with them on social, right, so how do we bridge the gap from that into kind of like the training that you have, Telman, so which basically teaches people lots of great things about, long-term follow-up, about being different, about being unique. So let's kind of take it from the stance of, okay, so somebody's got the data, right? They've got people, they've got a list of people that are, would be considered, in the industry, right? Somewhat targeted. They're leads right now. They're not quite a list, right? So how would you kind of take that and start building that list, those relationships, so you could really have a long-term relationship with those people?
Yeah. So let's dig a little bit deeper on this, right? So, so you got a CSV file with a bunch of information from people who just registered domains, right? And you have the domain name they registered?
Yep, correct.
Okay. And you have their phone number in many cases and their address in many cases? Yep. And let's decide on a business that's going to be serving these people, right? Just to run through an example for everybody. So give me an example of one of your students, one of your members that you know is using Big Fat List Builder in order to get clients.
All right. So let's say they're a marketing company. So they are a digital marketing agency. Let's say they do, a lot of our folks do reputation marketing, they do like video marketing, or they'll do like pay-per-click advertisements, so take any one of those.
Great. So a small, maybe one-man, one-woman show, or a very small team marketing agency, let's say they specialize in, let's just say they specialize in Google pay-per-click, keep it simple, right?
Sure.
I mean, insert whatever marketing method you have here, right?
Yep.
And so what I might say is, first you're going to send them an email, right? And the email is going to say something like, hey, I noticed you just registered blah, 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 blah.com, and we're a pay-per-click agency, and we specialize in helping websites that cater to dog owners. Let's say it was a dog owner domain, a dog domain that cater to dog owners to really explode their traffic and do really well. We would love to give you a chance to talk with us about whether or not we can help you make your website wildly successful really quickly. Let me know if there's any way I can help. I'm going to give you a shout as well on the phone just to connect and welcome you and congratulate you on this amazing domain you got, right? And so most of that can be a template email with a couple just manual fill-ins. Now, I don't know how many leads people are getting a day, but you can simplify it down. You can generalize it more. But basically, you send an email where you do something nice for them, right?
Yeah.
And then you write an autoresponder sequence. That's a follow-up autoresponder email sequence. And so you write a series of emails that continues to give them cool articles about new websites that are starting, asking them if they need any help with their traffic, asking them if they need any help with their shopping cart, ask them if they're going to be a direct response funnel or if they're going to be a catalog site, ask them what their traffic strategy is, etc. And eventually, if you're nice to them long enough and you give them enough value, they're going to respond and book a free consultation with you or whatever your call to action is. And so that would be just an example of a personal, nice way to help bring people up to speed by writing an autoresponder sequence. But writing an autoresponder sequence isn't where it ends. Writing an autoresponder sequence is where it begins, right? Because once you start creating your autoresponder sequence, you're going to want to start creating sales mechanisms or funnels that do the selling for you. So you can actually not only have leads coming in a robotic and an automated and consistent and a reliable way, whether you're using the Mojo LinkedIn system or whether you're using My Big Fat List Builder, those are both lead generation systems. That's the fuel. That's perfect. That's great. Once they're on your email list, what happens next? Well, they go through your various funnels to buy your various products and services, and you're going to be constantly optimizing and improving that so you can actually start winning your time back so that the sales and marketing process can be done for you instead of you having to do it manually all the time where you're stuck right now. That's why list building buys you your freedom back into your life. That's why list building takes a one-man, one-woman show who's in a consultative business where you're selling your time and completely transforms it into a situation where you can have 10,000 people on your list, 100,000 people on your list, 1,000,000 people on your email list, all waiting to buy the next product or service that you create and roll out. That changes the game for everyone, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so let me ask you this. So what one of the things that you really excel at is number one, longevity, right? And number two, kind of being extremely unique in the way that you approach things, right? Because and those are two very important things, right? Because if you're going to build a system, right, and people kind of look at it as like just building emails, right, or writing emails, and I think when you look at it as just writing emails, then it's really hard for people to get super excited about that. Instead, you're building like an automated way to sell over time, right? And
I have a funny way that I think about this.
Yeah.
Is that I like to build Helm Android.
Ooh, there we go.
I like to build Android versions of myself, right? And so that are as close to me as I can get, right? And they can be a simplistic Android that's just a series of 7 emails that goes out once a day each day, or it could be something much, much more complex. And Joe Polish coined the term, I believe, canning and cloning yourself. And this is the exact same idea. Is you will never have freedom in your life. You will never have a consistent $1 million+ business unless you learn how to create some freedom and leverage for yourself. And that's what list building does, is it changes your one-off emails from one person to another to one person to 100,000. And that gives you 100,000 times more leverage. Okay? You have to understand, it's completely, wow, that's nice. We got some echo.
I think we're good.
Okay, we're back.
Yep.
So that's the basic idea, guys, is that when we say unique, it's important that you realize that when you're face-to-face with a person, when you're having a conversation with them in the flesh, right, it's hard to ignore them. But it's easier to ignore someone on a phone call. It's even easier to ignore the person you're talking to on a webinar, like the one you're on right now, right? If you really wanted to, you could just ignore us. I mean, it would be kind of rude, but you could do it, and it's harder for us to know, right? And then in the form of email, it's even easier to ignore people. And so the further you get away from flesh to flesh, or from a face-to-face communication, in real time, in person, not digitally, the further you get away from that, the quieter your voice becomes. So you need to remember to raise the volume on your natural personality so that you can get noticed, but it doesn't mean changing your personality or changing who you are. It means being a louder version of yourself so that other people can hear it, right? And that's the fine art of email marketing. Email is the most powerful, the most effective, the most successful, the most proven revenue-driving way that you can build any kind of business online, period, bar none. It's not arguable, at least not today, right? The stats will show you again and again and again. So why isn't your email list bigger? It's because you haven't learned how to do it and you haven't built it yet. So building email lists and building businesses around email lists have changed my life. And if that sounds like something that you'd like, right? I used to be a one-on-one hypnotist. I used to work with clients one-on-one, help them lose weight, quit smoking, that kind of stuff. I charged $75 an hour. That was before list building. After list building, I charged $5,000 an hour. And I very rarely sell my time by the hour, right? Because my time is much more valuable when I focus on growing my list and growing my connection with my tribe, with my people. So that's how it works for me.
Yeah. You know, Telman, I like what you're talking about, you know, leveraging your time, because, you know, it's all about leverage, because if you just, you know, in order to do something different, it requires all of us to get out of our comfort zone.
Oh, it does. It does indeed.
Right? And so and our comfort zone is not our friend. Our comfort zone is our, you know, we love rituals and everything like that, but our comfort zone is our prison of familiarity. So if you want to do something, if you want something you've never had, you're going to have to do something you've never done, and you're going to have to get yourself educated and be persistent and disciplined and focused regarding that. And to me, and I agree, everything you're talking about list building, it is, you know, working with you, you know, they get all these strategies, but I always like to talk about the product of the product. The product of the product is, you know, you're going to build a community, you're going to get your life back, you're going to get time back, you're going to be able to leverage your time. So, or you could stay in where you're at and just run around, like we used to do, like a little mouse or a gerbil on a treadmill, and just go in a big circle. You're on and you're going nowhere, and one to one to one to one to one. And we did that for our first year. We had over 1,000 sit-down meetings. Are you kidding me? We were exhausted, and so why not leverage, instead of one to one? Why not one to thousands, one to hundreds of thousands, or one to millions? Now, like Joe Polish said, like you mentioned, you're canning and cloning yourself, you're multiplying yourself, and it's exciting. Then you can get to the 6-figure, then you can get to the 7-figure, and you can be a one-man show and easily make, you know, over $1 million a year. Many, many people do it that are no smarter than the people that are watching this Google Hangout.
I don't know about easily.
Right. Okay.
I mean, the guys that I know that I mean, sometimes some guys get like a one-hit wonder and they make a bunch of money easily. Rarely do those guys do it consistently. The guys that make 7 figures on our one-man shows, those guys usually work their ass off. But they do it, and they have a lifestyle that they love, and they have a business that's great. So, but I don't know any consistent 7-figure one-man show earners that aren't a little bit neurotic, psychotic, and obsessive to some degree.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a true statement. It's you know, and once you do it, you know, then you would just, you know, one thing is when you master something you're really good at it, you assume that everybody else knows what you know, and that's not
true.
The case. And so,
yeah. And that's and one of the things that I think is super important when you want to bridge the gap from here to here, right? And you want to do that as quickly as possible. It really comes down to learning from people that have already done it. I mean, this is why, you know, I signed up with Telman to learn what he knows. This is why we're super happy to have our followers really learn from Telman and get into his program, because I know, like, I mean, honestly, whenever I look at, if I want to make an extra, I don't know, $10,000 a month or whatever it is that most people here want to make, then I always figure out, okay, how can I do this faster? Because if I have to do it and kind of do it the hard way, right, and really struggle to learn a certain skill like list building, right, and it takes me, let's say, a year or, you know, a couple years, right, of really doing it all the time, I would rather spend a little bit of money in order to basically learn from the best, because you're going to get tried and true formulas, people that have spent years on it, and sometimes like upwards of a decade or plus on learning something that you can just literally copy and paste into your own business. That's why I think, you know, for me, I always look at, like, when I get presented with a great course, like, I'm excited because, you know, I know if I dive into it and I just take what's in there, replicate it into my business, I will have essentially taken taken a massive shortcut on how long it's going to take me to get to success, right? So if I have in 30 days, right, a proven formula, such as one for list building and getting leads and all that, such as Tillman's.
I will be back in 1 second. Stand by.
All right, sounds good. So, so if I could do that, right, and take what might take me years to do, and I can shrink that down into 30 days, then I'm down for that. That's exactly what I want to do. You know, this has been a huge premise and a huge thing in my life that's always helped me get to where I want to be. And I really hope you guys write this down. If you want to get to where you want to go, it is always, always, always better to learn it from the people that have been there, that have tested it, that have proven it, that have had the success that you're looking to have. Because when you do that, you have essentially taken a shortcut, don't you think, Ira?
Absolutely. You know, imagine you walk into a fitness club and there's two trainers there, and it's your first day, and you decide that you want to get in better shape, and you see two trainers. One trainer looks awesome. This trainer is ripped. He looks like something on the cover of any fitness magazine. Then you see this person that's probably 50 pounds overweight, and actually this happened one time. I was in a gym, and actually she was a female trainer, and she had to be 50 pounds overweight, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I thought, who has the big advantage here? Then this other gal she was just ripped and cut, and she looked amazing. So who are you going to want to go to? You know, Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. He calls it mirroring other people's success. Find those people that have really mastered what you want to learn, and instead of spending 3 to 5 years of your life, collapse time and get there in the least amount of time as possible, and that's how you exponentially grow. Now, if you're going to live to be 500 years old, forget about everything we're telling you, because sooner or later, by osmosis, you'll probably figure it out on your own. But if you're not going to be around for 500 years, the clock is ticking for everybody, and you want to be able to go to the masters who have proven it. And so I think that's a key thing. And a lot of people, Tillman, you'll like this. I remember one time someone mentioned to this person had their appendix out, and they got the bill for $15,000, and they kind of complained to the doctor about $15,000. Hell, it took you 45 minutes, for 15 grand. And the doctor laughed, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, I can show you in about an hour how to take out someone's appendix. But if something goes wrong, it'll take me 8 years to show you what in the hell to do. So, what you're doing is just condensing down all that time. If you make $1 million a year, 1 hour of your time is $524. So ask yourself, what's an hour of your time worth, and reverse engineer it. And Tillman, I thought what you offered up yesterday was absolutely spectacular, because it's proven, it's time tested. We've used your formula, and it's gotten us to 7 figures, year after year after year. So, what do you think is the biggest thing that holds people back from taking?
Well, real quick, Ira, let me do this, because we're actually getting some good questions here, and I'd love to dive into that. And one of the things is, Tillman, did you have anything else you'd like to share about that marketing? Because we do have a lot of marketers on our list that are growing their one-man marketing shows, right? Anything else that you'd like to share on that, as far as building a list, building a following, and all that?
I mean, look, if we have a bunch of people that are service-based businesses, that's a good business to be in, to learn a skill and to learn your market. Okay? We all start there. Most people start there, not everyone. It's cool. Okay? You learn how to get good at what you're doing. You can't stay stuck there for long, though, because all you did was made a job for yourself. All you did was made a job for yourself, and it probably doesn't pay as well as if you went to kiss somebody else's ass and work for them instead. Okay? It probably doesn't pay as well, at least not in the early stages. That's the risk. Okay? If you ever want to be able to grow so you can go on vacation and make just as much money while you're on vacation as you do while you're not on vacation from your business, investments is a whole nother game. Okay, we're not talking about investments. We're talking about creating a business that drives revenue for you day in and day out, that you can rely on and that you can intentionally grow to the size that you wish. It's the rate at which you grow and the degree to which you grow is 100% within your control. You are no longer limited by the hours that you will spend. You are no longer limited by your local economy. You are no longer limited by the competition's price tag. None of those things are limitations for you anymore because you've gained leverage for the first time in your life. And if you don't, then what are you waiting for? Do you seriously want to tell me that you want to waste the rest of your life fulfilling on a service that you really don't want to do in the first place? Some of you, a very, very small percentage, truly, genuinely, in the deepest parts of your soul, love the service that you give other people, and it's the one thing you've wanted to do your entire life. And if that's your calling, great. You need to learn how to get more clients and customers and how to train people to do that too so you can blow your business sky high. But if you want leverage so that you can go and you can think about things on a higher level, so you can explore the things that you want to explore, so you can grow the business that you want to grow on that massive scale, there's a reason that Corey and Ira focus on building their email list. If you're emulating them, you should grow your email list. So yeah, why don't we hit some questions and do some rapid fire and see what we can do here.
Okay, good. What Stephen asked, like, what Tillman shared on this webinar, how should we go about hosting our email list as it builds?
Great, great. Well, there are more options now than ever. And so the downside is there's no one simple answer to that question because there are literally thousands of different autoresponders and CRM services that you can choose from that are particularly customized in both price point and functionality for different types of indices, different types of businesses, different types of business models. So there's no one answer. I have a whole module of the 12-step list building program in all of the courses that focuses in on the specific technology platforms that I recommend if you're a beginner, the specific technology platforms and the enhancements that I recommend if you're an intermediate, and the specific platforms that I recommend if you're an advanced person in the course. So there's no one answer to your question, dude. I mean, there are literally thousands of autoresponder services depending on what you're looking for. So if you want to be more specific, I'll happily do my best to answer a more specific question. But yeah, I dive into that very deeply in the program.
Okay, good. So another person is asking, how do you know where do I start building my list? Let me see. Let me go through that. Yeah. So the question is, where do you start building a list? I really don't know much of anything. Like, how do I get started in this?
Right, right. So you have to start with a map. Okay, you have to start with a blueprint because there's a whole bunch of ingredients necessary. And if you don't have them all kind of going simultaneously, it doesn't. Look, you have to have traffic. Then you have to have a lead acquisition process. Then you have to have a follow-up sequence. Then you have to have your funnel. Then you have to build your autoresponder sequences. Then you make sure the right technology is integrated. Then you make sure your right upsells are in place. You see, it's a big picture thing, not a one thing. So there's no one place to start. You have to start by mapping out the system that you want to build. So if you wanted to build a robot, okay, even if you've never built a robot in your life, well, where do you start? Well, let's simplify back. Let's talk about Legos. Legos are very popular right now. Most of us own Legos at some point in our lives, or we've known kids that own Legos. Well, with Legos, you have two options. You can either go crazy build style and just build something nutty, which is totally fun, but it doesn't always hold together that well, and isn't always very functional, but might look cool. Or you can follow the directions, which is a little more boring to do, but when you're done, you get a Starship Cruiser. Well, you're building a Starship Cruiser here when you're building your list. You're building an entire business, from your traffic source to your squeeze process to your thank you page to your autoresponder sequences to your tracking. You're building a real business. It's like you're building a robot that's making money for you and selling your products or services for you. It gives you leverage. So you start with the map, you start with the blueprint, and then you start with step one. And step one is choose your tribe. The first step when you're doing this is you identify the tribe of people that you're already a member of, that you're stepping into to become their leader, to help solve a problem that you know they have because you're a member of them. You do this before you even choose your niche. You choose your tribe. So that's the easiest way to explain the first step and where you begin.
Okay. Perfect, perfect. So, and here's the best way to look at it. A lot of people look at how can I sell a product, right, online. And so they start looking at that and start putting that together, and then they go on to start selling the product as soon as possible, but they fail to create the business around it, right? So you might have this product and maybe you sell a couple units or a whole bunch, but essentially now that when that gets over, or you got to go figure out what to do next and how to create
marketing exponentially more important than basically anything else. I mean, you have to get your marketing, you have to get your audience first because your product is going to change anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what Telman really instructs in his course is not just how to produce a product, but really create a revenue-producing machine that works on autopilot, and how to position it to sell the most units for a particular audience, whether your market really is runners or the people, people interested in, they're putting out children's books, right? Children's books authors, or they're, any mess of things. Like I used to be in gymnastics, so people interested in kind of like fit style gymnastics workouts instead of like going to the gym, right? So more body movement stuff. Like that would be a niche. So how do you pick that niche? How do you create a business system that sells to that niche, that you can constantly be driving traffic, constantly be selling products, constantly upselling them, and yet you create it once and you've got this machine that is just cranking out business, right? And that's, at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of people want that. They kind of envision this when they become entrepreneurs, but I think somewhere along the way, I think people get disconnected from that vision because they get lost in the weeds and lost in the hustle.
You get lost in the job. I mean, because the work does need to be done when you start, and guess what? Unless you have limitless funding, you've got to do it. You've got to put in the elbow grease. I mean, you've got to put in the juice. But you always have to be focusing on pulling yourself away from that and creating something, a system, a process that can allow you to expand to do much more than you could ever by yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, if you want to make 7 figures, if you have any hope or dream of a high 6-figure, 7-figure, or 8-figure business, you just need to stop doing the fulfillment yourself as soon as possible. There's just no way you'll hit that.
Yeah, so one of the things and this was kind of major for us when we learned how to do this. It's we would always sell services back in the day, and I think that's why in the beginning of a business building, like we learned how to build a list, but we didn't really learn the whole section about having kind of an automated business. We actually sold services, right? And so it was a very grueling process. It took a lot of energy out of us. And at the end of the day, it left us very kind of unfulfilled, right? Even though we were helping people, it was just for the work, it really didn't seem worthwhile. And then I had Omar Martin on our radio show earlier, I think it was last week, and so he said something that was really kind of cool. He figured it out when he realized that he could sell download links, right? Like he's like, if I could figure out how to sell a download link, then that was the best thing I could possibly do, right? And so that kind of like hit on me. I was like, I wish I had learned that way earlier in the process, because there's years and years and years that we struggled trying to crack that nut and make clients happy and all that stuff. And that was just a beast of a business.
But here's the thing, though. It's important to interject that some people truly love the service act and the service aspect of business, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're the type of person that truly loves the service and the fulfillment aspect of the business, then you need to be educated in marketing, you need to be enthusiastic about marketing, and you need a partner who's not in love with the fulfillment and who is in love with the marketing even more than you are. And then you can explode. Because if you're going to always be the service provider, fair enough, you know you're limiting yourself. You know you're making 1/10, 1/20th, 1/100th of you could be making because you're being stubborn about this. So stop being stubborn. And you need to accept marketing into your life with open arms, and then you need to partner up with someone who's completely infatuated with it, so you guys can go full force together as a team. So that, you know, but if you're anti-marketing, then basically you should end your life as an entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay? If you're anti-marketing, you should stop and you should go get a job.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Burger King they're raising their minimum hourly to $15 an hour. So, I mean, some entrepreneurs, when they look at all the hours they're putting in, they're not making $15 an hour.
It's true, and there'll be times, there'll be years where you might not make $15 an hour. That's the life of being an entrepreneur. That's how it works, guys. Just sometimes you have to, you know, especially if you're doing something super experimental.
Absolutely.
I just want to say one thing about what you just mentioned, Tolman. A lot of people, if you're really good at fulfillment, a lot of times you might not be all that great in marketing because you're really attached to your project. It's like your little baby, and so you don't want to get into that marketing piece because you're not as comfortable there. You haven't mastered it, and people have a fear of failure. And so that's why a lot of companies, when they create something, they did an article at the Harvard Business Review where people stayed way too long in product development rather than taking it to market and putting it out there. You know, imperfect action is way, way better than perfect inaction. And so you've got to just get out there, and because when you're making the best use of your time all day long is when you're selling. The guys that are making a lot of money are doing something that's revenue producing. And when you're doing fulfillment, that is not revenue producing. I mean, it's something you need to do, but you're absolutely right. You've got to have if you're selling high ticket products, you got to have full calendars. If you're send them to a sales page, you got to have massive traffic. And so but your 90% of your success will be marketing for this year. It's all about the marketing. It's not your product. It's not your service. And people think that, oh, I got this cute little baby. Well, the reality is you might have an ugly baby. But
awesome, Ira. And you know, we're gonna thank you so much, and we're gonna start wrapping this up. Tolman's at an event that he'll be speaking at here, and so. But this was so important. We want to get on the line and really talk about these principles, which I think is huge. If you get one major takeaway around this, it's that actually there's a couple of huge takeaways. Is number one, start building a business that is automated, right? That has a full-scale business system where you've got a way to generate leads, you've got a hungry niche to sell to, you've got a product that's perfect for that, you've got a way to maximize revenue in the back end. That's really what Tolman is offering in his course, is a copy and paste way to do that. So if you haven't achieved that yet, if you don't have an automated way to sell and a way to kind of define who you go after, then that's why this is one of probably the most important investments you'll make, because otherwise, you know, there's people that call the struggle bunny route, right? You don't want to be the struggle bunny when it comes to your business. You want to succeed massively and do it fast. And the second thing for me, and this is always the biggest takeaway, is you got to learn from people that have done it, that have proven it, that are successful as a result of that. And that's why we really love having Tolman on to really teach this, and we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to really learn from him. Be mentored from him, mentored by him like I was, right, and to accelerate your growth. And so, Tolman, if you want to kind of go through a little bit more about, you know, what the offer is and all of that stuff, what they can hope to learn, how quickly they can really start diving in, what they get, and all that stuff. Love to have you speak on that.
Yeah. So. What I want you guys to do is you can read about this too at the link, which is www.mojolistbuilding.com. I got that right today, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good. MojoListBuilding.com, and I think you can even see that on my video, and I don't think it is appearing backwards for you. Is that also true?
It's all good.
All right, that's great. So basically, here's the deal. I knew that there were beginner level list builders, intermediate list builders, and high level list builders. And what this means is you're just getting started with your first list. You already have a list started, but you're not growing fast, or you're not making much money from it yet, or you're making good money from your list, and you know you can make a lot more, and you want to go into overdrive, right? That's level 1, level 2, level 3, right? And so what we did is we created the Ultimate List Building System. And the Ultimate List Building System is 12 modules, 12 video modules, step-by-step video modules, taking you through the entire 12-step list building blueprint, one step at a time, starting with building your tribe, ending with your high-end coaching and consulting programs at the very back of your funnel. And what you're going to end up doing is you can start on the beginning level, you can start on the intermediate level, or you can start at the high level depending on where you're at. So if you have all 12 steps set up and going already, but you don't really have mastery over them yet, then you can pick up at whatever level you wish. So it's really like taking 3 mega home study courses and bringing them all together in a step-by-step fashion, giving you everything you need to learn how to build your list building empire regardless of where you're starting today, beginner, intermediate, or advanced level techniques and strategies. So you're going to get all 36 of those modules. Those are all video modules conducted directly and created directly by me, and they're in the process of being created right now, so you're going to get to give me real-time feedback, questions, and input, so I can give you even better training that's more catered and focused on you and you personally right now. So that's very, very, very exciting. There's a whole bunch of amazing bonuses. I'm going to go over them in a minute. But that's the core of the program. And for the first time ever, due to Corey and Ira's desperate plea, I've decided to not create one, but I've decided to create 2 payment plans in addition to the Pay Nothing Now for 6 months plan. Okay, so get this at. So you can get the entire program plus all of the bonuses if you're one of the first 10 people to register right now. You'll see it on the page at mojolistbuilding.com for a single payment of $1,997. Or you can do 5 payments of $397, or you can do 12 payments of $197. When you go to that page, you'll see the radio button. You can just choose the payment plan if you want. If you have good credit and you're American and you have a PayPal account, you can also do the Pay Nothing Now and then start doing payment plans in 6 months after you've already started building your first list and started blowing this whole thing sky high. So you have numerous absolutely irresistible payment options, but we're only going to keep these payment options available until midnight on Sunday. Until midnight on Sunday. And then the payment options are going away, and it's all going to go back to the single $1,997 payment. So I can talk a little bit about bonuses and all the other cool stuff that people are going to get if you'd like, or where do you want to go with this at this point?
Yeah, so we can talk a little bit about that. I think you know, at the end of the day, and by the way, we're gonna have a webinar. We did a webinar yesterday. We'll have that linked up so you can watch that and see in full what you get. And so we'll be hosting this as well with that webinar. But yeah, at the end of the day, really what you're getting, and by the way, thanks Telman for putting the payment plan together, because I know you've never done that, and so I'm super excited for that, because you know, I really wanted as many people as possible to really get this, because I just know what comes out of having this kind of training. It's not just about building the list, guys. It's really about creating a lifestyle business that is more automated, that allows you to basically do the things that you've always wanted to do, like travel and have fun, and you know, like, you know, recently, you know, I got engaged in Spain, went to Thailand. All of these things are not possible when you are struggling with your business and doing things the wrong way. Tillman is huge on building those Android-like environments, and I got to say that I'm always impressed with his level of education and the knowledge that he instills, and he's super passionate about really helping people in that regard. And so I want you guys to be the next success stories, just like I was. Just going back a number of years, I was sitting in the same spot, just wondering, like, should I do it? Should I spend the money? And now that that I have, I never turn back. I would do that over and over again, every single time. Absolutely. So. So tell me, maybe speak a little bit about the bonuses. We'll start wrapping this up. Definitely, it's super important that you get in right away because, like Tillman said, the payment plan option especially is off the table in just a matter of days. So you want to make sure that you get that because otherwise, you're not going to be able to get this at all. So, but yeah, over to you, Tillman.
Yeah. So there's some pretty cool things that you're going to get if you pick up the program right now, right? So bonus number 1 is called the Perpetual Marketing Machine. Now, this is a massive traffic source. If you want to be a recognized celebrity in your space, if you've seen these different summits, online summits that go on, this is the course that created the movement in online summits in 2006, where I taught people for the very first time how to gather together a large list of other experts in your field or area who have the email lists that you wish you had, to bring them all together in a promotional mechanism that allows you to build a massive list from scratch and immediately catapult you to the tippity top of the iceberg on the celebrity field in your given area or niche. It's an incredibly powerful thing to do. I've run 6 or 8 different summits myself in wildly different niches and topics, and it's of course being done all over the internet in every niche and vertical that you've seen. I'm sure that you've seen these things, guys. So this is actually the Perpetual Marketing Machine. I used to sell for $3,997, so $4,000. Day in and day out, we sold thousands and thousands and thousands of copies, but you're going to get the entire 12-module audio course that is not available for sale anywhere else right now as bonus number 1. So this is a very, very, very cool course, and it's created more success stories than any other course or program that I've ever released. So super important if you want that rapid list growth, right? Number 2 is the Ultimate List Building Swipe File, and we're actually updating this right now as we speak. We're giving you my top converting VSL templates, top converting emails, top converting squeeze pages, top converting sales letters, top converting upsell scripts, top converting bump scripts, in order to massively increase the conversions that you're going to get across your entire sales process and sales funnel for everybody that enters your list and joins your list. Right? So that's easily a $1,497 value if you don't already have a swipe file. And this is going to be, if you already do, then you know how valuable this is. But if you don't have one, this is a great place for you to start and really start getting your head wrapped around marketing. You're also going to get a 30-minute strategic strategy list building breakthrough call with Carrie Sullivan, my co-host and one of my best list building students all time. Carrie is a brilliant, brilliant marketing and entrepreneurial strategist. He'll walk you through all 12 steps of the process and really help you focus in and isolate on the step and the level at which you want to be focused on first. Right? And for people that pick up the entire program with the single pay, you're also going to get the mega bonus. This is going to a grand total of 10 people. You're going to actually get a clone of my 14-page funnel that was done with one of these telesummit models called the list building event, that you can go and fill in the blanks and create your own model that you can use as many or as few of the pages with as you want to build your own list and really take things to the next level. So this all in all is over a $20,000 package, and the price point is a single payment of $1,997 or one of the payment plans, or don't pay anything for 6 months, go with the PayPal option down at the bottom of the screen. So it's pretty amazing offer that if you want to get started building your list and really get this dialed in, I would encourage you to do this right now. It really will be the best choice that you make in your entire marketing career.
I love it. I agree wholeheartedly. That's why we're on here right now speaking on this. And I know, honestly, Mojo is one of the biggest case studies. That I know he's had a lot of students and stuff like that, but our success in a huge way is because of the training that we got from Tillman. In fact, one of the first things that we did is a perpetual marketing machine in our own Arizona area. We actually put together a whole bunch of experts that in Arizona that were networking experts. That was one of the first things we did in our business in order to drive more traffic and more leads. And so, we are huge fans and advocates of the training that Tillman has, just because it was really the kickstart for us, right, in order to get to where we're at. So thank you, Tillman, for being on, talking about the program. We're huge advocates of it. MojoListBuilding.com. Hope you guys take advantage of it. Remember that the payment plan option is only available right now. Okay, so definitely take full advantage of that. Ira, anything else before we wrap this up here?
Well, I think I think the value is obviously there. I can tell you this: what'll take you 3 to 5 or 10 years to learn, or not at all, in a very, very short period of time, say in a couple weeks, you dive in there. I mean, all of a sudden, you've got yourself a PhD in internet marketing. Are you kidding me? I mean, it is a legitimate $20,000 value. It really is. Because how long would it take you to acquire that knowledge? How long would it take you to dig out all this information? I mean, think about all the mistakes that you have to make to learn that much. It's massive. And so someone was talking about that the other day. When you have really great wisdom, it came from bad judgment. Because along the way, you made this mistake, you made that mistake. And so someone who's very, very gifted in a given area. I mean, look at Edison. He failed over 10,000 times on how to build, the light bulb and electricity. So think about all the roadblocks and adversity that you won't have to go through, and you go from the back of the line to the front of the line just by investing in yourself, investing in your business. You take that first step, you will not be disappointed. I mean, we are living proof of what this program will do. And so, if you want to really take it to the next level quickly, and time is really is a consideration for you, there's nothing to think about here. Particularly that payment plan. Are you kidding me? That is, the money you'll spend just every day just on things you have no business spending money on, whether it's going to Starbucks or whatever. You just, don't spend any more money you are right now. Shift those dollars that we all spend that are ridiculous and move them into something that's going to help you grow, expand, and be who you should be. So, Tillman, thank you again for taking the time.
Awesome, you got it, guys. Well, thank you for everything, and thank you for this nice hangout as well. Thank you, everybody, for all the questions you wrote in. Are there any other questions at all that have come in that we need to cover before we completely wrap up?
All right, let's see. There's one that says, from Stephen, I'm trying to understand a little bit, what is the way I can further expand this concept of vertical networking through one-to-one marketing concept and building my email list to build this brand? It's a little bit of a confusing question, Stephen, so if you got a way to kind of hone it down a little bit more. If you have any other questions, please type that into the box on the event. That would be great. And let me just check my emails, see if there's any other questions there. I think we're good. So just kind of recap a couple of things here before we end. Number one, just any business that's out there that if you're looking to build a lifestyle business, one that's more automated, one that kind of that essentially is its own perpetual marketing machine, where you've got a way to bring in traffic, sell them a product, upsell them, and do this all automatically, right? That's what we're offering here today. Okay, my Big Fat List Builder that we have is a way for you to get the leads that funnel into that kind of machine, right? And so I wanted to recap that just so everybody's super clear on that, because if you don't know the difference, then yes, it would be one of those things where you might wonder, like, is it worth the investment? And I can say absolutely, because we teach you we get you the leads, right? he teaches you how to funnel those into an automatic business center that will essentially replicate yourself, canon clone, like he said, right? Create that he calls them telemandroids, right? And so that's what this is really all about. So mojolistbuilding.com. Go ahead and take full advantage of it. We have payment plans options on there, but I think that's about it. Tell me, do you want to offer anything else before we wrap here?
No, I think we're good to go. Yeah, guys, I'm really looking forward to working with y'all, and I look forward to hearing about the great lists that you build along the way as you go through the program.
Love it. Right on. All right, guys, well, we're signing off here. Thanks so much, Tillman, for joining us, and on this this amazing day. And Mojo Global, Corey Michael Sanchez here signing off. We got Ira Rosen. We'll see you guys in the list building course. Take care. Adios.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.